calcium pump is an active pump, so it requires energy. One of the places we find the calcium pump is in our skeletal muscle. And when activated upon, it releases calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum that will help aid in muscle contraction. I'd recommend watching the video on the sodium potassium pump, and which really explains these active pumps. Okay, another function of cells is filtration. Movement of fluid through a partition with small holes, what you would imagine a filter would be. A kidney is a good example. As fluid is coming into the kidney, inside the fluid, which in this case is blood, the blood vessels are bringing fluid into the kidney. And inside of the fluid, there's going to be some good things and bad things. And your body is going to keep the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff. So it is behaving as a filter. Okay, on the next slide, the picture will explain this one here. So go back and forth between the two. Okay, know the definition of these: hypotonic, isotonic, and hypertonic. Hypotonic is hypo is below. So in this case, if you look at the picture, it is describing what's going on. If a cell is put in a solution where water is going to move into the cell, it's going to cause the cell to swell. This is a hypotonic solution. If this keeps happening, eventually the cell will pop like a balloon. Okay, now we call this lyse, L-Y-S-E. In the second one, isotonic, the concentration of solutes and water are the same. So for the most part, one in, one out. So there's a net. There's not really a net gain on either side, so the cell doesn't swell or crenate. Like the next picture you see there, the hypertonic solution is when the high solute concentration causes shrinkage of the cell. We call that crenation. So know those terms, crenation, and on the other one, lyse, L-Y-S-E. So there's a higher concentration of solutes and a lower concentration of water than the cell, so water moves from osmosis from inside the cell out, and that causes it to crenate. Okay, so know these. Be able to define them on the test. Okay, anatomy of the cell. This is a basic model of the cell, and inside are the organelles. I have posted a wonderful video that explains in 3D animation and other wonderful visual effects of how all these things work. So please take a look at that. Okay, the nucleus of the cell contains a genetic code. This is responsible for protein synthesis. Our DNA and chromosomes are found here. The nucleus is considered the brain of the cell. The nucleolus, this is another organelle found inside the cell, plays an essential role in the formation of the ribosomes. So the video I posted will explain the ribosomes and what they do, how they work. Okay, the endoplasmic reticulum, we have two of them. We have the rough ER and the smooth ER. The rough ER is where protein synthesis takes place, and the smooth ER is where lipid lipid synthesis takes place, and steroid hormone and certain carbohydrates will occur in the smooth ER. Peroxisomes, so this right here is your Pac-Man, or a type of Pac-Man. And if you're not familiar with what I mean by that is, well, Pac-Man's job is to eat things, and that's one of my analogies for our immune system is, in a way, our immune system is one big Pac-Man. It is designed to eat the antigens, microorganisms, things that don't belong in your system. So peroxisomes are one of those. It contains enzymes that detoxify harmful substances. And then the ribosomes is the site of protein synthesis. So proteins are broken down into amino acids, and amino acids have a particular arrangement that the ribosomes will help it obtain. The video I posted on that will show you exactly how that works. Golgi apparatus function is to collect and modify and package and distribute the proteins and lipids that are manufactured by the ER. So in the endoplasmic reticulum, it's going to make things and then send it to the Golgi apparatus to be distributed. Okay, the secretory vesicles are necessary to get things out of the cell. So there's things stored in the vesicle, and when stimulated will release. So it's going to leave the cell. Good example is a neurotransmitter. So the NT that you see there stands for neurotransmitter. And we'll talk about neurotransmitters when we get to the nervous system. A lysosome, another type of Pac-Man. Intracellular digestive system destroys bacteria and other debris. Cytoskeleton is made of proteins. This gives the cell its framework. And other things like microvilli, the flagella and cilia are other examples of specialized structures made of proteins. And on the video that I posted, you'll see the microvilli and flagella and cilia in action. Okay, mitochondria, consider the powerhouse of the cell. This is the site of ATP production. Very important structure. If we exercise, you will grow more muscle cells, and therefore grow more mitochondria. So, as you would imagine, if you continue training and running and your endurance gets better, you are creating more mitochondria. And that's what the stands for here, is muscle. Okay, and then if you were to stop exercising, you would atrophy and lose mitochondria. So your body will adapt to what you do to it. Okay, the function of cilia and flagella is to move the cells from point A to point B and move particles and debris from point A to point B. We typically find cilia in the trachea and in fallopian tubes, and flagella is found in sperm cells. Microvilli, an extremely important function for digestion. Now that's something I cover in more detail in ANP2, but for right now, just know that the microvilli are these finger-like extensions that increase the absorbing surface. And so as you eat, the stomach breaks down food, and then that passes into the duodenum and into the small intestine, the site of absorption. So it is very necessary for food to be broken down into their smallest forms and acted upon by different hormones and enzymes and so forth, so that when they're absorbed through the microvilli, that is what goes around in your body and gives you your nourishment. So very important structure. NSAIDs do crenate microvilli, which means that they atrophy it. So people that are constantly on NSAIDs at some point will have decrease function and absorption because it does hurt microvilli.